Welcome everybody to the Flopbuster Movie Show live with Tony and Gabe back at you with another week of movie news and box office. Gabe, how you doing today, man?
Good, sir. How you doing? How you been?
I'm doing great. I'm ready to talk the movies. Just making sure my mic is okay. We're good. Making sure my mic's okay. We had a ton of stuff that happened in the movie news world. Not really, just some bigger things, but not so many bigger, longer I guess topics to talk about. Not a bunch of Marvel and DC stuff. Besides I know they don't want 4 Batmen. That's about it, but I didn't know
Good.
if newsworthy or not. That's all they talked about. But other than that, I do want to talk about the box office, and I say we just get started, man, because the box office was pretty interesting this week. So we had Wakanda Forever at number 1 with 181 million.
Woo.
Some people say that's fatigue. Others say that that's really good. I say that's very, very good, especially without China. I think it did 300 million worldwide. It's now crossed 400 million worldwide. So I think it's very good for Wakanda Forever. You and I both enjoyed the movie a ton. So I think that's great. What do you think about Wakanda Forever at number 1?
You know what? It's great. It's great for the box office. It's great for Marvel. It's great for people of color. Movies. Both black and brown. I think. Um,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I think the representation was key to this, and I think a lot of people really resonated with that first movie, and they came back for the second one.
yeah, yeah, and they'll keep coming back for it. I think that's one of the things that we've always talked about, right? Is when you put stuff out there for representation, people for the most part flock to it. I mean, Crazy Rich Asians did what huge amount of money, in
It did
August,
amazing. Yeah, Crazy
right?
Rich Asians was it did one. I think that was summer of what 2019, 2018.
2019, I think it came out in August, and I know that for like the rest of the year it was just doing an insane amount of money, and I think that's it's proven. You
Yeah,
put people out there, and people will flock to it and watch it.
yeah, no, and I'm with you in that. And the other ones kind of just are carryovers that have been in the box office for a while now. So we got Black Adam sticking around. That movie's barely gonna break even, from what I'm told. And real quick, I want to say what up to the guys in the chat. What's up, Connor and Cody? How you doing, guys?
Hola.
Um, and I know, yeah, Black Adam barely broke even, so it's still kind of going, but
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know.
Wakanda. When I heard Wakanda Forever really stopped their march to $1 billion, which is
Yes,
probably what they needed to break even, since it was like 15 years of development. But yeah, I mean, it's not going to reach that
they
billion mark.
spent a ton on marketing. I know that for a fact. They spent so much on marketing on that movie. So, and then we have Ticket to Paradise, which is on digital now. So it's cool that it's still cleaning up somehow
Hey,
at
I
the box
contributed
office.
it to that last week.
You did. You had a chance to see it last week. I enjoyed the movie. It's nothing, like super outlandishly new or brings something new to the romantic comedy genre, but that's not why you see the movie. You see it for the chemistry of Julia Roberts and George Clooney, and the movie
And
delivers on that.
you're right, absolutely. That's what it was. I didn't think it was funny at all. Like there wasn't no like comedic effect to me where I chuckled, but it was just the movie star magic that is George Clooney and Julia Roberts.
I would agree to that. I don't think there's anything that really like, oh man, this is like a must see comedy, but I think their chemistry made me miss, man, movie stars are awesome. We need more movie stars.
Right.
Uh, and then we had Lyle Lyle Crocodile, which is done decently. It didn't open like to huge numbers, but it's stuck around at the top 5. Families keep going back to it. The reviews are pretty good too. And then Smile with 2 million still. It's on Paramount, so it is on digital. You can watch it now. But it's still making money at the box office, and people love the movie.
Great for Smile. Awesome for Smile. I'm really happy for them.
And I like everything I'm seeing there. It is I mean, take Wakanda Forever out of it. It is a slow week, I would say.
Oh yeah.
There's nothing much going on there, but we had Wakanda Forever, and that's what everybody wants to see. So I don't know, man. I really enjoyed the movie. I know you did. I don't know if Marvel fatigue has really settled in, but I think people are showing up to this. I think it'll make $1 billion for sure.
Probably. I don't know about Marvel. I mean, when the movie's making like 200 million to open, almost
That's good.
like
That's really
it's good. Like I don't understand like what do they want it to open up with to not consider it fatigue? 300, 400 million? I mean,
right.
I don't know that number, but you know, It seems like a lot to me.
It's a lot, and then there's still a lot of moviegoers that aren't as feeling as safe to go to the theater. There's still a ton of people sitting at home waiting for streaming, and that's just the era that we're currently in.
Right. I found a cool spot in my local movie theater, which is the handicap seats, and those are like all the way in the back of the theater, separated by everybody. So that's where I've been sitting up by.
Then you got to give them up if a real handicap person comes. But my boss, my former boss, did the same thing you do. He takes the
It's
handicap seats.
listen, it's sort of like the handicap spots in the parking lots. All right. It's like they're not being used ever. Like you don't see handicap. I mean, not that you
You
don't
should
see it.
you should use your handicap spot for sitting in a movie theater handicap spot.
You
Should
know,
be a rule.
yeah. I mean, you get two seats all the way in the back by yourself, and then there's an open spot because a huge open spot because just in case you need a wheelchair access, and
Sure.
nobody ever goes. Nobody goes.
There you go. So if you guys need good seats and it's sold out, just take the handicap seats.
Do it.
Okay, so here's the first one of the day. Again, nothing too like crazy in terms of the big name studios, but there's some interesting things. And this is one of them. Jonah Hill, who I've been waiting on to make another movie. I know he's got a documentary coming out, but in terms of narrative films, he hasn't made one since mid 90s, which
Mid
was
'90s.
really, really, really good. Gabe, I know you like that movie a ton too.
I did like mid '90s a lot. Actually did remind me of the mid '90s, which I was born and being raised in.
Yeah, I thought it was a really cool, interesting character piece. It was shot well. He had a lot to say with that one. I love the young kids they casted in there. So I think he's a very strong director and he's worked with the best. So I really like that. Yeah, I like what he brings to the director's chair and seeing that he's going to team up with Keanu Reeves for a film called Outcome. It's a package deal with him and Keanu. They're looking for a studio now. Uh, and that's about it. Plot is being kept under wraps. But what do you think of Jonah Hill in the director's chair and Keanu Reeves starring in a film?
First off, I want to say, like, what a great if Jonah Hill was a character, what a great fucking character arc for Jonah Hill, right? He goes from telling people about ask me about my wiener,
Right. The Judd Apatow era of like dick jokes.
right, and then the Judd Apatow stuff, and before even the Judd Apatow stuff, remember he was in 40-year-old version. He was trying to buy fucking disco shoes,
Right.
like
He's
just a cameo, right? Just a little
right.
cameo, and then to his own stuff, and then to his best friends with Seth Rogen. Like his character arc has been amazing to watch
It's been
unfold.
poetic from comedy man to Oscar nominated actor to now celebrated director.
So yeah, like it's awesome, And before that, right? You can't forget the 21 Jump Street movies, which he was amazing. He leading man type roles that he was getting. So I'm all for it, especially after watching mid '90s a couple of years ago when that came out. I'm excited. Keanu Reeves, the internet's sweetheart. What can go wrong here?
I agreed. I know nothing about this other than studios are very excited and there's going to be a bidding war over this movie that they are both attached to. And everything you said, I love Jonah Hill. I love his arc of going from this funny guy who was kind of at the butt end of jokes with fat humor and stuff to becoming
Right,
this Oscar nominated actor, celebrated director, all around great guy and filmmaker. He just seems so cool. And the idea that he's getting back in the chair and he's so passionate about what he directs, I think that's awesome.
right. I mean,
Brett, how's it going, man? Thanks for stopping in. He is an interesting guy. I love Jonah, man. I think he's so cool.
he is. I mean, him. Even like the Wolf of Wall Street, which to me, like, I think that was his like I've made it moment. Like in
Yeah,
my eyes, he's always made it. Right. In my eyes, he was always the fat guy, the funny guy, which I resonate with. Me being the fat guy, sometimes funny. Um, but then when he did Wolf of Wall Street, in many people's eyes, like, all right, this guy finally made it. He's worked with Scorsese. He's with Leo. He got nominated. I know he got nominated for Moneyball as well.
he
I
did, and
mean,
he was awesome in that movie.
he was awesome in that movie. So I mean, he's just had a great career, and I'm happy for him, and I'm glad, and I'll see this whenever it comes out.
No, I'm with you on it because I think he's a guy that you talk about. A lot of those comedians that are at the butt of fat jokes and dick jokes, they don't really move on from that. But what I love about
Or
the
they don't
Apatow
last.
guys,
They die
they don't
early.
last. They die early or
Belushi, John Candy, Chris Farley.
Chris Farley, all these guys that were part of that certain era. But Jonah and Seth Rogen, they go, okay, I've done my comedy stuff. What can I do as a dramatic actor? What can I do as a writer, a producer, which is what Seth does, which is what Jonah does, working with Scorsese and Leo. I mean, that's again, it's what you said. You're at the top of the mountain. What else can you do?
Right.
It's fucking awesome, man. I think it's cool, and I'm down for this team up,
Right.
100%.
And I'm glad, like we said, I'm glad he's decided to move on because a lot of people get stuck in that comedy rut where it's like you've done comedy for 30 years. What else can you do? People just know you as a comedic actor, and I mean it doesn't work. A lot of these comedic actors don't age well. Especially if you do like the physical physical comedy. You know,
Yeah, I mean that's all you're known for, and then you gotta flex out and do something different. I mean, even Sandler knew that. Sandler did so much comedy. He's like, okay, what can I do? I could team up with Paul Thomas Anderson, Noah Baumbach, and James L. Brooks, and the Safdie brothers, and the recent Hustle that he did on Netflix. Just try different things other than comedy. But I think Jonah Hill makes the right choices, and I like him in the director's chair. So I'm
correct.
with you. I think this is good, man. All right. So this is another one that dropped earlier. I don't think you know this movie, uh, but I think you'll be interested in this upcoming one, and that is Bradley Cooper and Steven Spielberg are teaming up for a passion project that Spielberg has been wanting to make for a very, very long time. Recently, there was a story that he has his heart set on this as his next film. He's wanted to make a movie like this, just a guns a blazing big action movie. So Bradley Cooper and Steven Spielberg are teaming up for a new entry in the Bullet series. Now, Bullet was a movie starring Steve McQueen in 1968. It's a great
Hmm.
film,
Awesome
fantastic
film.
car. It's really good. Oh, so you have seen it? You have seen Bullet?
One of the best car chase movies of all time.
Okay, so every like Bullet is very famous. People know what it is, and if you don't, you at least know the car chase. Um, but that's the only movie. Steve McQueen, that was like his role, man. That was the one that he took to the grave. Nobody else was gonna play it. This is me. And this is a film that Spielberg has been wanting to make. He's found his bullet. This is not a remake, according to Deadline. This is a new story with the same character. So, what do you think of Bradley Cooper as the character of Frank Bullitt, San Francisco cop with the badass car, directed by Steven Spielberg?
Um, it's a tough call, right? Because Steve McQueen is so iconic.
He's gonna be
Um,
compared. He's got
he's going to
he
be
can't try to look
compared,
like him with the hair and stuff. I mean, it'll be way too
right?
similar.
And listen, Bradley Cooper, he's another guy. He's another interesting guy with an interesting career arc.
Right.
And he's made very interesting choices, and he's done very, very good characters. So I have no hate for Bradley Cooper. But I don't know if you could. I don't know if you could fill into Steve McQueen's shoes. And I don't think there's another actor right now, whether it's legendary actor or somebody up and coming, that
Right.
could fill in those shoes. So it's gonna be
Right.
very hard. And I know you have the perfect director for it, right? If anything, right, Steven Spielberg as a director, awesome.
Right.
It's just the actor for me. It's just the actor.
It's an interesting choice. I love Bradley Cooper, and they've been wanting to work together since American Sniper. Spielberg was the original choice. He didn't do it. He ended up doing something else, and then obviously Clint Eastwood came and directed that movie, courtesy of Bradley Cooper, who was really trying to make that book into something. But this is interesting because most filmmakers, I think, wouldn't dare touch this movie just because you think of the iconic poster, you think of that car chase, McQueen, actors trying to imitate him in some way.
Right.
Um, Now, I trust Spielberg, and I think the movie is going to end up being really damn good. But you bring up a good point about the McQueen of it all, because when you think of that movie, you think of McQueen. There's nothing really about Bullet that stands on its own besides the car chase and the action sequences, but the main performance is him. It's like his
Right.
movie. So you got to do something interesting with this. But he can't look like McQueen. It can't be an imitation. It's got to be Bradley Cooper's take on this grizzled character who's always cool. Like cool, and he's got the hot girlfriend and everything. Like, you can make this movie, and I think this is the closest we'll see Spielberg get to a superhero film because he said he wants to
Yeah.
make a big action movie like this. And I think this is his inner child wanting to make that movie that he liked when he was younger. And I think it's this.
No, it is. I'd rather see, Steven Spielberg try to do a Marvel movie like we've all been talking about for months here. But
Which I know the Fantastic Four stuff. We brought it up like
Fantastic
twice.
Four stuff, maybe even the Ghost Rider.
Who
Um,
he probably doesn't even know who Ghost Rider is.
bring
Fantastic
back
Four, I would have bet he'd know. I bet
bring
he'd know.
bring back Nick Cage. No, but
Hey, I'd be down for it.
no, but yeah, I mean, like it's going to be very interesting, and it coming off, what looks like going to be another hit for Spielberg with the Fablemans, it'd be a great thing to
Just
see
add
this.
another notch on his belt. Like he's done so many great films, and he's done action movies. He's done Raiders of the Lost Ark. He's done, I mean, he's done films like Munich. He can do Minority Report. Anything he could. The guy can do
Right.
anything. We already know that. But this is interesting because he's coming near. I mean, I'm guessing the end of his career, and every choice is like, you know, it feels like he's reaching his inner child. Like I'm gonna remake West Side Story. I'm gonna make a movie about my love for movies, and now I'm gonna make a movie that's a love letter to action movies and Steve McQueen and get Bradley Cooper involved. It's interesting. I don't know what the
Right.
story's gonna be, but I just need Bradley Cooper to be badass, drive that car, and that's it. That's all I ask for. Just
What
don't
if you
give us an
get
impressive.
Bradley Cooper from Wedding Crashers as like the ultimate bro?
Well, you bring up his arc, right? And like he's another guy that's so interesting because he started off as the frat guy, the mean guy, the shitty boyfriend. Or you think of movies like All About Steve and yeah,
Right.
Wedding Crashers, and to see where he's come now, where he's like, I only want to work with uh these auteur directors, or I'm gonna direct myself. And now he's kind of like this auteur director, where he's
Because
done A Star Is Born, and
I don't know if you saw it last year, and I never got your take on it, but like Nightmare Alley, where I thought that role was he was amazing in
he was
Nightmare
great.
Alley.
He was incredible
Um,
in Nightmare Alley, and he worked with another top dog that me and you like, and he's got another. That guy's got a movie coming out, which is going to be awesome. Pinocchio, Guillermo del Toro. So Bradley Cooper is very, I think, now become very selective over the movies he's taking because there was that period where he's like, I'll do the dramatic stuff and I'll do comedies like The Hangover, and he's kind of transitioned into I'm only going to work with these big name directors like Eastwood, Del Toro, or I'll just direct the damn thing myself. And I
right.
think now we're seeing him go, okay, I could do something fun like this as long as Spielberg has his hand on the wheel.
So we're
So
not
this is
gonna see a
interesting.
Hangover 4.
I doubt it. I'm shocked that we got three hangovers, man. I mean, I forget that we even have a Hangover 3. And what's up, Jay? He is a great producer. He produced Nightmare Alley and Joker. He did produce Joker. Yeah, he was his production team produced Joker. I remember when they were talking about that. He's in deep with Todd Phillips.
It's just like
So
we just said, the great character arcs so far that we've talked about with Bradley Cooper and Jonah Hill. I mean, where they started, where we've seen them start, and it's just amazing to see where they're ending up and how they're going, with their career. It's just amazing.
yeah, it's awesome. I love seeing guys that can transition from comedy to drama. I mean, another guy's Channing Tatum. I love Channing Tatum. I know
I
you
love
like Channing
Channing
Tatum.
Tatum. I,
Yeah,
I, I don't know who doesn't love Channing Tatum.
he's just you want to see guys succeed that feel like movie stars and make interesting choices. And I think I like this team up. It's interesting because Bullet is very you just think of Steve McQueen. So how do you think of that character without him?
I mean, real quick. I mean, we could talk about, real quick. We could just see like if they're gonna make it like a 2022, 2023, right? Are we? So we're not gonna have muscle cars because that's what they had in the 60s.
Right. That's the big selling point is he has the muscle car. Like
Are
that's
we
the
now?
thing.
Is he gonna have like an electric muscle car?
Maybe he
I
has a
mean, he's San
Tesla.
Francisco, right? So San
Right.
Francisco. So
They're
what? They're
very
gonna have
progressive.
the very progressive, very save the world type, eco-friendly. So we're gonna have like a car chase and like Teslas.
Or is this a late 60s period piece, muscle car, old school
What,
action
or is it
movie?
gonna be like one of those old school, like against
Right.
eco-friendly stuff, and he's gonna be like I don't know, like Sylvester Stallone in Demolition Man, right? Where he just comes
Right.
in and he's just like fucking things up 90s style because
They bring them from the past to the future.
right.
It's not a bad idea, actually. No, but I'm with you. I think there's some interesting things they can do with this. I think Spielberg's going to direct the action wonderfully, but that's the big hurdle because everybody's going to think of Steve McQueen the entire time. Bradley Cooper, which he already knows, he can do it. I mean, Nightmare Alley is technically a remake. There's the 1940s original, and I think the remake stands on its own 2 feet. While the original is definitely interesting too,
Right.
um, but yeah, it's an interesting piece of news because we knew something from Spielberg was coming, and I think a lot of people were hoping it was Superman. Uh, but with Fantastic Four in the summer, I was like, no, I don't think he's doing a superhero movie. I don't think he has interest. So we're getting it. We're Bullet, Bradley Cooper, and Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Uh, all right, here's the next one, and this is big. This is pretty big. This dropped recently. This is Joseph Quinn and Lupita Nyong'o from obviously Us and recently Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and Joseph was in Stranger Things as Eddie Munson,
Yeah.
and they are both teaming up for A Quiet Place Day One, which has kind of gone through a series of directors. I know the director of Midnight Special was going to do it. Now we have the director of Pig, uh, Michael Sarnowski, who's going to write and direct the film, produced by John Krasinski. So, what do you think about these two teaming up for A Quiet Place Day One, Gabe?
Uh, I don't know, man. I think I'm gonna cancel myself out here though,
You're gonna cancel yourself. Why would you cancel yourself?
just
Uh,
because
wait, hold on. How you doing, Chris? What's up, man? Go ahead.
I just think that the Joseph Quinn stuff, like,
It's crazy. It's a little crazy.
it's crazy, super crazy.
It's great. He hasn't had a chance to prove himself, but I think he's a great actor. I want to see what he does. The Stranger Things crap aside, let's see how he does on his own because I'm not familiar with the rest of his work. I don't know
Does
what
he
else
have
he's
a
done.
lot of body of work? Well, I thought this was like Stranger Things was like his first go
That's
at
like
it.
his thing. I know he's had other smaller roles, but I think Stranger Things was like that first big thing. So, A
And if it
Quiet
wasn't for
Place
the internet blowing up, would he even like been
be
that
up for this
remembered
role.
up for this role? I mean, I guess
It's
that was
interesting.
his break, right? Every actor needs his big break, but I think I just being in active on social media is I have Joseph Quinn fatigue already. Like, all right, just let it go. Like,
Yeah.
you
It's
know,
not even his fault, but I think there's
it's
a
not his
little bit of
fault. It's
fatigue.
not his fault. It's
Yeah.
fatigue, and I understand that's why he's up for this role. Which, okay, great. But to have, I don't know, and I just feel like there's a caliber of acting between Lupita and Joseph that maybe is not on equal footing. I don't know.
I think I
Maybe
get
I'm
what you mean.
wrong. And this
You
movie,
would have expected a bigger star like you Lupita to co because I'm guessing this is a big role. Otherwise, why would they announce the two of them together? That's a
right?
package deal. Like these are your leads. This is the movie. Um, I think he's great in Stranger Things, but this is going to be a test. Like, is this guy does he got it or not? Because he's going against a heavy hitter. This is a woman that every time you see her cry, you want to cry. You know, like she can make the waterworks go. I mean, she's Academy Award nominated actress. I mean, I think she actually might be a winner. She might be a winner.
I think she won. Was it 12 Years a
Did she
Slave?
win
She
for
was
that?
in.
She
I
was
think
great in
she
that
did.
movie. That movie's
Yeah, she
heartbreaking.
won for that.
Okay, I wouldn't have put yeah
Another McQueen directed that.
another McQueen. I love that McQueen. That guy makes some interesting choices. I was talking the other day about Widows, which is came out in 2018. Not a lot of people talk about it. It just came and went out of nowhere. But I mean, you love Chicago movies. That movie has some great Chicago set locations in that. I love the way that movie looks and the way it's filmed. Great cast too. I love that.
Right.
Um, but I think he's got what it takes. This is the movie. Like this is your make or break thing, and it's a
I
big
think so.
franchise.
I think so too. And like Connor said right now, I'm happy for him. He does seem like a great dude, but I think yes, I think everybody's a little bit. I think mostly males, right, are just tired of just hearing about
Right.
the
Well,
Joseph
there's some
Quinn.
guys that I think should be big things, and I think he's got such an interesting face and energy. He reminds me of like a young '80s Robert Downey, when like he was in Back to School and things like that, or Home for the Holidays. He's got that energy, that sort of
Right.
sarcasm and stuff. I want to see him in a role that's more low key, and I want to see how he does with that. Um, Real quick, I want to address Jay's comment. A bunch of rumors Ryan Reynolds is getting Channing Tatum for Deadpool 3. Makes sense after Bullet Train and Free Guy. I've heard about this, Jay. This Daniel RPK reported on it, who's a big scooper. I didn't think to add it to the show notes, but I'm pretty sure Marvel and Fox are trying to make Deadpool 3 a big send off to those characters and give them a proper ending, just like how they did with No Way Home. Uh, from all the reports, that's what we're gonna get. Ryan Reynolds has a huge hand in those Deadpool movies. I guess what are your thoughts on that, real quick, Gabe? Do you think we're gonna finally see Channing Tatum as Gambit? Because we know he's wanted it forever.
God, I hope so, dude.
It'll be
I
fun.
that's like one of like my I wish would have happened movies like on the top. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see him because I know Channing Tatum was working with an acting coach to get down that Louisiana drawl that Gambit has.
Yeah,
And I know that movie was in like development hell for so long with directors overturning, and so finally give him a good send off. Let me see Channing Tatum in the whole Gambit, motif. We never got him in any of the X Men, or maybe we did. Oh yeah, we did. We got him. Well, it was the
Taylor
Wolverine
Ta-
movie. The
Taylor
fucking
Kitsch. It wasn't bad. It's
he
just that
wasn't bad,
movie. There's a lot of things with a lot of characters and makes it all forgettable.
right?
Um, but I would love, dude. I love Channing. I mean, oh, I forgot to add something for the show notes. And I'm an idiot because this trailer ruled. Speaking of Channing Tatum, Magic Mike's Last Dance. I saw that trailer and it is awesome. The only thing that was missing, which I feel like was done on purpose, but I wish we got all the boys back. Uh, everybody in the movie for the past, especially XXL, Big Dick Richie, all those guys.
Bro, Kevin Nash is too old to be dancing out there, bro. Kevin
That's
Nash is
true.
gonna break a hip.
But I do love how this movie looks. Did you see the trailer? It looks like a lot of fun. And
It looks like a lot of fun.
Valentine's Day weekend. Channing Tatum rules that weekend, man. Like his movies hit on Valentine's Day. Women love seeing his movies.
Woman, man, dude. All right, real quick story. All right, real quick is the first Magic Mike comes out. Every girl's going to go see this. Me and a friend, we went with our girls, right? And so the girls go in because there's a long concession line. So it's just me and this other guy standing in line waiting for concessions, and they're like, "Oh, what movie are you gonna see?" And we're like, "Oh, we're gonna go see Magic Mike." People just looked at us because it was two guys standing side by side gonna go see Magic Mike, and they're like, "Oh," sort of like that makes sense type of deal. Obviously, we go in and the girls are already sitting down in the seats, but it was a pretty cool. It's fun,
You know,
it's fun.
it's funny that you say that because I think there's like this whole when those movies came out, especially the first one, there was this whole panic over like, oh, if you see that you're gay. But they're really fun and they're well made. I mean, it's Steven Soderbergh who made the Ocean's movies and Panic Room. Like they're really well made movies.
Listen, I am so secure in my sexuality that I saw Brokeback Mountain. Like
And
I
it's a
didn't care.
great movie. It's like
Listen, it's a wonderful fucking romance movie. It's a wonderful,
right.
wonderful romance movie. It's
But
romantic as fuck.
and I think that's what the first one carried that, but I think by the second one, I think with this one, people just like Channing Tatum. They like the roles. Like, dude, this trailer's sexy. Like, it's him
Right.
and Selma Hayek. They're sweaty. They're putting on a dance show in London. The song that they use in there,
And listen,
awesome.
and 2022 is the year of the dick, right? I've never seen so much dick on the big screen as I've seen this year, big and little screen. That I'm hoping that there's like fucking so much dick in Magic Mike that finally lives up to that hype. The first hype of
You might.
Magic Mike was like, oh, there's gonna be so much dick in it, and then there was very little dick.
Right, it was just this very low-key character dramedy that was just well
Right.
made. It wasn't like this very sexy thing. Like, there were sexy parts in it, but,
Right.
it
Like
was
I'm
much
saying,
more
hopefully now for
sophisticated.
this third one, they're bringing in the dick. Bring in the dick.
Bring in the
Like
dick,
it
you heard it
just
here.
yeah. So somebody tell Channing Tatum to bring in the dick.
He might do it, man, and I again, another guy that even writes a lot of his stuff too, like Dog recently, and I know he writes the Magic Mike movies as well, so
Again, we're talking about character arcs, right? For a lot of these people, right? This is another one. You go from Step Up and Honey and these like hip hop breakdancing white guy in a urban jungle. He knows how to fucking dance hip hop
right.
to where he's writing and producing and doing his own shit. Like that's
And
awesome for him.
another guy that loves working with big directors like Tarantino, like Soderbergh. Who else did he work? He worked with somebody else that I mean, David Leitch. He cameos in those movies. So I don't know. I mean, don't doubt Channing. He's the best. Um, Back to School reference. Yes, love Rodney. I love him. Love Wise Guys too. Wise Guys is another one that or no, not Wise Guys, Easy Money. Easy Money with him and Joe Pesci is another one that I really enjoy. Wise Guys is with Danny DeVito. All right, what is next? This is okay. This one's interesting because this comes off the heels of recently Hellraiser and Prey. Prey and Hellraiser were two big Hulu movies that were made straight for the streamer, done by pretty much auteur, well produced, directed films. So this is going to be the next Alien movie with a $75 million budget. They're keeping things low. It's going to be straight up a horror movie about astronauts on a planet surrounded by aliens. And we are getting Kaylee Spaney in the role, in talks for the role of the lead. She was in Bad Times at the El Royale. Loved her in that. She's also going to be in Priscilla, the Priscilla Presley biopic. She's a wonderful actress. She's really, really good at what she does. But another thing, which I totally forgot about, is this is going to be directed by a horror mastermind, Fede Alvarez. Fede Alvarez in the director's chair for an Alien movie. Gabe, what do you think about that? A back to basics, scary as hell Alien movie done by Fede Alvarez.
Man, you had me at new Alien movie, bro. Like you can't. Aliens is such a iconic franchise, you know. Creature features and the sorts. I've been a little bit down on it with Covenant and Prometheus. I was like, eh.
Those are different kinds of things, right? That's like very they
Well,
let Ridley just do whatever he wanted. Sort of like,
especially what was his face? Who was attached before Ridley Scott came back and said, "Oh, I want to do these." The guy, the guy that did
Neil
District 9.
Blomkamp.
Yeah,
Yeah. He was going to bring back Ripley as well. He had a
right.
whole
His
thing.
treatment would have been like fucking amazing, and I wish I would have seen that. But now you know you bring in Fede Alvarez, who's done great. I mean, to this day, 2013's Evil Dead is my favorite. I'm sorry, I make no
I love it.
apologies about that. I love that fucking film.
It's great.
And so for him to go and try to tackle aliens, and Hulu has at this point done no wrong, right? I mean, Prey was amazing. Hellraiser was done really well. You know, they definitely have proven themselves. I mean, they still have to prove themselves a little bit more, but their track record so far, it's two hits.
With
And
these original movies, they're hitting it out the park.
right, so I'm excited for this.
You know, I am really excited. Again, I totally forgot Fede Alvarez was attached to this, but I like who they chose as the lead. Kaylee, again, she did wonderful work in Bad Times. I think she'll be great in Priscilla. Um, I really like her as an actress. I don't know who else is going to be in the cast, but the idea of going back to basics, doing a smaller movie with a smaller budget, just like Prey, that's what Prey was. It's like, let's take the Predator and let's put him in Comanche time. Like that's it. That's the pitch. That's the movie. That's all you need. Hellraiser, again, back to basics. Let's get David Bruckner. Somebody new opens the box. That's it. That's it. That's all you need. And we will be happy and we will watch them. And I liked both those movies this year. So
Right. For these franchises are so well established and have so many, movies and sequels and requels and
mhm.
whatever, is you don't need to continue that storyline. You don't need to call it a sequel. You don't need to call it a reboot. You know what? Just give me another movie. And not in the same time. Just give me another movie. Just
Just
like you said,
capturing the essence of what you want to see.
capturing the essence of what you
That's
want
it.
to see in an alien movie. Like you don't need to make it so convoluted that you're like trying to pigeonhole, 10 different alien movies into one. Just give me something
Right.
basic. Give me something fucking scary. There's a monster in your alien in your spaceship and it's going after you. That's it. That's all you need.
That's it. That's essentially, no, I'm down for that. So
Like you said, with Prey, it's just drop in the Predator in Comanche times. Cool.
that's
Give
it.
me a
Like
little
that's
bit,
the pitch
give me a
and
little bit of,
it's fun.
Easter eggs, a little bit of fun with the fucking knife, whatever. It's good times.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. All right. Connor is excited for this alien movie. I'm pumped, man. I am pumped for this. And Evil Dead 2013 was fucking awesome. If it's even half of what Evil Dead was, I'm gonna love his alien take. I think I am too. I really like Fetty. I love Don't Breathe. Um, he's the real deal. I feel like he's kind of taken a backseat a little bit. And I know he did the what was the one? The girl with the dragon tattoo one he did. It was the like his take on it. Wasn't that great? I forgot the name. It was with Clear. Oh, I'm blanking. But he that was his most recent film, I think, and I wasn't that good. But he's a fantastic director. He's done some TV too. And
Yeah.
all right, here is the next one. This is a big one, and here we go. All right, so Jason Blum and James Wan, they're joining forces for a new horror studio venture. Excuse me. Combining both companies while keeping their separate brand identities. So Jason Blum and James Wan are pretty much combining their studios, but it's weird because they're still going to be releasing films under separate banners. So it's still going to be Blumhouse, still going to be Atomic Monster, but they're going to be under one company. Um, Gabe, what do you think about this? I mean, two powerhouses teaming up. They already love each other from working on Insidious and Megan. They loved working on each other with each other, not on each other, with each other on Megan, and
On
now
each
they're
other. Well,
producing.
this I can see the theme of tonight's show. I love working
They're
on each
working on
other.
each other. And I know they're producing a sequel to Megan. They're very happy with how that movie turned out, and it's gonna make a ton of money because of the memes. But what do you think of James Wan and Jason Blum teaming up?
I can't see no wrong here for them two.
I agree.
Uh, it's I think it makes sense. You know, the only thing I could probably see maybe a power struggle because I don't know James Wan's going from director to producer to maybe studio head here. Um, I don't know. I could see them, it's just sharing each other's resources and rights and things of that nature. James Wan going in and trying to do something that Blumhouse has, and vice versa. Jason going in to Wan's offices and like, hey, what do you have? What are you working on?
What are you
What
working
can
on?
we
Like,
work? What can we collaborate on? Let's make something for both of us. You know.
no, I'm with you on that. And Jason Blum's so passive. He's just like, hey, I want to make money. If you're a filmmaker and you got a great idea and you could do it under 10 million, you're going to make the movie. I'm going to produce your movie. And James Wan is the king of making hits on very tiny budgets from Saw, Insidious, The Conjuring, the even Malignant, which is a big studio movie, cost like 20 million for Warner Brothers. I mean, it didn't cost that much. Um so the idea that these are two guys that just want to combine forces, they love each other. They've known each other for about 15 years now and they're saying, let's just make a ton of content together, a ton of movies together. I think that's awesome. And I'm still waiting for more Universal movies. So hopefully this means we're getting more of the Universal monster stuff that we've been promised since The Invisible Man. Because we haven't gotten a follow up to any of those things. Um,
Hopefully,
I hope so, man, because I
I know
felt
you're a
like
big Universal Monster fan, so
what we're supposed to get the Ryan Gosling Wolfman, which has not even started filming. It's that one's in production mode because I know Blumhouse is involved in that. Lee Winnell almost did it, but then they didn't. But there's a big thing happening in Hollywood right now, right? And that's they're taking notice of how profitable horror movies are. Most recently, Walter Amado, who was head of the DC film division at Warner
right.
Brothers, has now moved over to Paramount, and now he's the head of the horror film division. And pretty much his job is to oversee movies and produce a ton of films for both the streaming side and theatrical. So Paramount is going all in on horror. Um, Obviously James Gunn, not James Gunn, James Wan and Jason Blum love horror movies, and they're so it's so cool that these studios are just taking notice and they're going, "Hey, these things make so much money. It's way better of a risk to spend $10 million and earn 200 million than to spend 100 million and
Right.
guess if you're going to make that back."
Listen, you and I are both you and I connected over a love of horror, right? Many years ago, and so we come with horror backgrounds. I and I love the way that horror has taken a hold of Hollywood the last couple of years. Obviously spread. The pandemic ushered in a new era of horror in my eyes. Before then, horror was going that the artsy horror A24, which it's still going that way in some regards. But the pandemic, this post-pandemic horror is not that way. It's something completely different. Anyways, what I don't want to see these studios do is what they did in like the early 2000s, late 90s after the success of Scream. is that and just start churning out like stupid shit, like stupid horror. Um, I could see that happening, but at the same time, with like James Wan and Jason, right, and Walter Hamada, I feel like they want to cultivate better horror, and I feel like they want to have continue the threat, the current trend where horror is somewhat king right now.
I agree.
And I just hope that other studios that aren't them, like I don't know, Fox or fucking whatever, that they don't see the horror as a way to like make their quick money and then just put out stupid shit though. You know, there's too much good content out there right now in horror for people just to try to do something dumb, like Pray for the Devil, which I'm upset about.
Right, there's a movie that you saw, I did not see. I have no opinion, but I've heard
You don't
terrible.
have to see it.
That's the first time you've ever told me, "Don't even bother seeing it." So, I'm just gonna take your word for it. But I'm with you. I think there's a change in the landscape of what horror is, and that's okay. And I think even Terrifier 2 studios have kinda taken notice and, "Hey, that little movie, which costs absolutely nothing, made $10 million,
They-
and it's gross and disgusting, and people loved it." I think they're taking notice that, okay, let's make movies filmmaker driven and let them come up with their own wild, crazy ideas. It's almost like it's high concept horror films, right?
right.
Like you're getting X and Pearl, you're getting
Smile.
Barbarian, you're getting Smile. Smile is a box office juggernaut. It is insane. It's taken the world by storm. We had Halloween Ends. Like you could do anything, and it's pretty much been turning profit. People, if you not just horror movies, but really, really good horror movies, again, that are filmmaker driven. And that's what the studios are noticing. So I hope they don't go down a bad trend of let's just make anything. And if it's bad, it's bad. I hope they go, hey, we'll put out some movies on streaming, we'll put it out in theaters. You can't lose. But horror movies, you cannot lose if you do a good job.
Right.
And
You can't. Well, because we'll go there and we'll support it and we'll show up. Like you said, and the movie that I'll always eat crow on, which is Terrifier 2, because I believe when we talked about it, I was like, yeah, fuck that movie, and obviously I saw it and I was like, all right, not necessarily fuck that movie. It was actually really good, so
it's fun. And
it was fun.
again, from a studio perspective, they want to know what's making money, what can keep the industry alive, what's really good, what are audiences resonating with, and that's a movie that did its job and it came and it cleaned up and people really
It did.
enjoyed it.
And you know what? What horror does? I don't know if we've talked about it. Maybe you brought it up, or maybe I read this. I don't know. Is that horror is communal, right? Is you don't necessarily want to see it on streaming. Yeah, you have Shutter and all this other stuff, right? But when a horror movie comes out, you want to experience that at a movie theater. It's dark, you're seeing it with like 30, 40 other people. They're getting scared, you're getting scared, maybe you get scared because somebody else got scared. Whatever the
Right.
case may be, horror movies are communal. You can watch a romantic comedy at home, no problem. You can watch an action movie at home, no problem. But I feel like horror is something that you want to experience at a movie theater with the rest of the crowd.
I
and
agree.
and that's what you're seeing this year with horror. There are people showing up at the movie theaters just to watch these.
Yeah, I'm with you. Sorry, I need fucking water this time. I want to reference Connor's comment. James Wan is rumored to be producing the Van Helsing reboot. I've not heard about that. I think that's interesting. I love Van Helsing as a character. I would love an older Van Helsing, just like how he was in the Dracula book and in every iteration from Peter Cushing to Anthony Hopkins. I would love an older Van
Don't
Helsing.
forget Dracula 2000's Van Helsing. He was an
I
older gentleman.
forgot. Man, he was. And then Johnny what was his name? Uh the dude from that was what's his name? Johnny he's got the
Johnny
show
Be Good.
Elementary. No, I'm blanking on his name. He was in Dracula 2000. He worked for Van Helsing.
Oh yeah, I know who you are. I don't know the names.
I
I'm
forgot
bad
his
with
name.
names. You
I
know
forgot
more
his
names
name.
than I
I
do.
I know his name and I'm blanking on it. Anyway, I think that can be interesting. I don't know that because Van Helsing was if we're talking about rebooting the Hugh Jackman one, it didn't do very well for the studio. Uh, they were not very happy with what that movie brought to the table. So I think there's something to do with that character. I think that world is so rich, and even if that movie's seen as one of the biggest bombs and widely hated, I mean, it's essentially you're seeing somebody hunting all these monsters and stuff. I think that can make for a great horror franchise. Lower the budget, get somebody cool, and I think you have a cool Van Helsing movie there, man.
Yeah.
I'd be down for it. Especially with that Nick Cage movie coming out, the Dracula one.
Was that
Combine it.
Universal Monster?
That is another one. Renfield, it's called. That'll be a lot of fun. I think that'll be really cool. All right. So we've come near the end, and we're gonna talk about new releases. I have the graphic. I thought okay, here we go. All right. So the menu is out today, finally, which is a movie we've talked about on the show before.
Whew.
Yeah, I'm excited. We're gonna go. I think maybe tomorrow. So we got the menu, and then we have Spirited, which is coming out on Apple TV, which I shockingly have heard really good things about. It's sitting at about 70% on the tomato meter, which is honestly solid for a comedy, especially one like this on streaming. And then we have A Christmas Story Christmas also has some pretty solid reviews. I think it's also sitting about the 70% on the tomato meter, and that's going to be on HBO Max. And then on the awards race side, we have She Said opening up wide. This is the Harvey Weinstein film. I love Carrie Mulligan. I'm definitely interested in this. And then we also have Bones and All and The Fablemans opening in select theaters this week, but they will roll out wide on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So, Gabe, any of these movies? I mean, does anything here really stick out to you that you're excited about?
The menu. I am so excited for the menu. That trailer for the menu from like I first watched it, with like in the springtime. I was like that just drew me in. I was like, I'm in. Plus you have Anna Taylor Joy, who I believe is one of the best actresses working right now. Her and Margot Robbie are like neck and neck, which is upsetting that Amsterdam didn't do too good since they were both in it. But
That's
anyways,
right. They were both in that. Yeah.
Young Beast, young Hank McCoy. I always forget his name, but I know him as Hank McCoy.
Nicholas Hoult, who was also almost Batman, but he lost the role.
Yeah, and
A good guy.
Ralph Fiennes is an amazing. He's an amazing actor in his own right. Johnny Legs. Who could forget Johnny Legs? Johnny
Which
Legs is in this.
he's also in this. Yeah, and there's the cast looks like a lot of fun. I'm excited because this reminds me of Ready or Not and movies like that that are just
Right.
cool black comedy. So I'm with you. I'm excited for this.
So also Bones and All looks very intriguing. I didn't watch a trailer for it until like last month, and I was like, okay, this looks intriguing. What is this about? You know what I'm saying? And Spirited, I'm probably gonna catch it. I'm gonna try to steal somebody's Apple TV login. To
Do it.
watch Spirited.
Which I want to applaud Apple TV a little bit, just because I feel like they lack content, and I think they obviously they know that they're not really pushing movies and things like that. What I will say is their originals this year are all within awards talk. From Cha Cha Real Smooth, which I haven't seen, but I know a ton of people that loved it.
Is that
they
about the cha-cha slide? To the left.
I'm
To the right
guessing it's
now,
based
y'all.
off that, but it's a romantic
2.5 this
comedy
time.
with we'll just put your rendition in the trailer for your consideration promotion. Um, but they had that come out. There's what's the one that just came out? Jennifer Lawrence and Paperboy, Brian Tyree Henry
Yeah.
in Causeway, I think. That's also gaining some traction with some really good reviews. And then Emancipation coming out next month in the awards talk as well. So, but between those movies and Spirited and some of their original TV shows, they're kind of doing really well in terms
Right.
of making a name for themselves and being the cheapest, I believe, cost wise monthly, especially with
Well,
Netflix going up to $20 a month.
well, I'm not sort of yet in the Christmas mood. I usually don't enter until maybe week of Thanksgiving, maybe the end of November.
I
So
agree.
I'm gonna hold off on Spirited until then. Especially since it's been unusually warm in Chicago, and this just doesn't feel like the holiday season yet here. But yeah, I mean, But other than that, I mean, it looks like a great week. It's going to be a great 2 weeks of new releases. So hopefully the menu holds up. Still continues on the mantle for horror movies for the year.
Right. I know by the time we do another show, um, there's gonna be new releases Wednesday, and
Right.
that's Devotion. They're doing the Knives Out 1 week screening, so that's next week. That movie won't come out until late December, I believe, Christmas. But you have the opportunity, if you want to see it next week for 1 week. And then Strange World from Disney,
Thanksgiving.
Fablemans and Bones and All are both going wide next week. So there's a ton of movies next week, and then the week after is actually Violent Night, which we're both excited about. So
Yeah.
we're definitely going to be there for that. But that is it. That is the movie news roundup for this episode. Gabe, do you got
It
anything
is.
else to add?
I
Anything you want to talk about?
do. Don't want to keep you so long, but I do want to talk real quick about the new because we promoted it on the show and we talked about it ad nauseum. What do you think of the new Lindsay Lohan Christmas movie?
Oh.
We have to talk about it. We have to talk about it.
Oh, okay. So I'll let you give your thoughts first because I think. Oh
Okay,
yeah, go
because
ahead. Give your thoughts first.
okay, I feel like between the both of us, I'm more of the I'm gonna watch these cheaply made Netflix Christmas movies every year. Like every Christmas season, right? I talk about this thing.
Right, like the
So I feel
Christmas
like
Prince and the Christmas Castle and all
the
these things.
Christmas Castle and the Christmas Prince and the Christmas Princess swaps or whatever the case may be,
Right.
right? Those Netflix original Christmas movies I'm on top of every year. So I already know how they're built up and how they move forward. And they're very the characters are very one dimensional. They're not really there's really not much meat to none of these characters on these. So with that being said, the new Lindsay Lohan movie fits that bill entirely. So like on my letterbox, I think I gave it like 3 stars, maybe 3.5, because out of the Netflix Christmas movies of the last 4 or 5 years, it's the better one. It's one of the better ones based on solely her acting alone because she's still a great act. She's still a good actress. I'm not gonna
She's
say
great.
great. She's
She actually is great in this. Lindsay
right.
Lohan still is charming and charismatic as she was
Right.
20 years
And
ago.
she still has that, even though it has, the lip fillers and the nose job, she still reminds me of, the Parent Trap Lindsay Lohan, whatever the case may be. Um, so with all that being said, it was one of the better ones in my eyes, because I know the Netflix recipe for these Christmas movies. So that's why I rated it high, and I just had a good time with it, and had a good time seeing Lindsay Lohan back on the big screen. Now, like I said, I know it wasn't for everybody, so I know when I get your thoughts, I'll have some rebuttals on it. But when I did watch the movie, you know what? I told you it reminded me of Goldie Hawn's Overboard with the
Overboard.
amnesia, but a very one note Overboard. Like that was just it, you know.
So I didn't. Okay, so from the promotion and the Netflix sort of announcement of we're bringing Lindsay Lohan back. This is her big comeback movie. We signed her for this contract, a 3 picture deal. She's gonna do romantic comedies for us. And I said, that's awesome. That's really cool. I dig her in romantic comedies. Um, I remember a little bit of the trailer, and I think I was like, "Oh, that looks cute. That looks interesting." And the poster looked nice. I did not know of Netflix's weird pyramid scheme of Christmas movies they have going on. I thought that was Hallmark's fucking bag. I thought that was their thing. And I don't watch Hallmark Christmas movies because they make me feel dead inside because the people in there are not real. They are just robots, and those things are written by algorithms. Uh, they're just not real people. It's just like strange white people in white towns and these backlots. Um, but my mom loves them, and I know Gabe does too. So it might just be I don't know. Some movies just bring people joy. So I started this, and I got Victoria to watch it. I was like, I'm really excited because I saw some of the reviews, and it was around 50% of the tomato meter. I saw some good reviews, some other reviews, but I didn't read anything. I just saw general thoughts of people liking it and whatnot. And I started it, and I was like, this is weird. Because it starts off with stock footage of like this resort. And it's not even shot in the correct frame rate of a movie. It's like GoPro camera footage and like shots of people in a hot tub on a rooftop. which they cut to about 7 times in this movie, and they also end the movie on the footage of the people in the hot tub. What they brought to the movie of value, I have no idea. They just like the image of people in a hot tub. Don't know
Who
why.
doesn't?
Sure. Movie starts and Lindsay's very funny and charming, and I go, it took me about 5-10 minutes, and then I realized what kind of movie I was watching. I was like, "Oh, this is like one of those Hallmark things." So, I don't really watch these movies. I stuck it out, and personally, I felt like it was a very, very long 90 minutes, where I was like, at this point, I was so engaged in how they were gonna end it, but I was like, "Why am I watching this? I'm just wasting my time watching this." But I don't like to skip out on things. I wanna finish whatever I
Right.
watch. So Lindsay's very great. The rest of the cast is made up of people that are very good looking, but very robotic and fake. And again, these are not real people. And then I looked up who made these movies or made this movie, and it's the same people that makes the Hallmark movies. Same director produced like 20 Hallmark Christmas movies. My main issue with this, and again, it's fine. I wanted a true like comeback story for Lindsay Lohan, and like this must have been a really fun movie for her. And maybe I just overthought it. But Netflix, for the amount of money that they're charging and the prestige they're trying to bring to their streaming service, should not be making cheaply made films with big stars. And that's all their movies are. Every movie they put out there, whether it's a big blockbuster film, it looks cheaply made, to a smaller Christmas movie like this, it looks cheaply made. And I have no idea how or why. I mean, look at HBO Max is putting out a ton of Christmas movies this year. Last year they did too. They had 8-Bit Christmas. This year they have one of them, I forget the name of, but it has the little girl from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Not Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Haunting of Hill House. Um, and then they also have A Christmas Story Christmas. And the thing about these movies is they look like real movies. They don't look cheaply made. They look like they're made by real people and not an algorithm. And that was my whole thought watching this movie. I said, this doesn't feel like a real movie. I feel bad for Lindsay because she's carrying this dialogue and it's so stiff and stilted and it just brought me no joy. But again, I'm not the target audience. I'm not the
You're
target audience for these movies.
you're not.
I want like a real I was expecting like an actual romantic comedy, like a real
There's
movie.
two
And I
different types of Christmas movies out there, man. Those are the big budget studio movies, like you just talked about HBO Max. You're talking about stuff that could possibly be theatrically released, and then you're talking about the Netflix Christmas movies that they do have. They follow
it's
a
a
pattern.
formula and it's
It's a
pattern and
formula,
it's something that works for them, which
and
is
it
I had
works for
no
them.
idea.
you know. And like I said, I'm a sucker for those because yeah, they're bad and they're very one-dimensional characters. Um, but for some reason they're heartwarming. Now I don't watch the Hallmark stuff. Right? The Hallmark just is too much. There's too much cheese. There's too much eggnog. There's too much too much egg in the eggnog for the Hallmark ones. Um, Netflix does them a little bit better in my opinion, but yet they're still as cheesy. They're less cheesy than the Hallmark ones, but
Okay,
they
so
do have a formula.
this is my issue though, because Hallmark, I give them a pass because they've been doing it for years and it works and people love it, and obviously it's made for TV. Netflix is a big studio. We have to consider them a big studio at this point. They got a big name star who has been out of the spotlight for 10 years, 15 years with personal struggles and coming back, and they put out a press release, and I guarantee you most of the budget went towards paying her in that contract. I just think she's a better actress, and they could have surrounded her with an actual movie. But again, I wasn't the
They
target
could have.
audience. The whole time I figured this was like, you know, a romantic comedy with some actual thought put into it. I didn't realize I was watching one of those kind of movies. So when I made that, I was like, oh, and me and Victoria sat there. I'm like, oh, they're doing like all the things they do in these movies. There's also this running joke about her fiance and whether he's gay or not. It's like really weird and dated. It's like a bad gay joke. It's like really bad.
It is. Also, that's another thing that you won't find on the Hallmark movies, which not is that Netflix goes that extra mile where they'll have a Hispanic kid or black
But it's like
character.
weird representation. It's like they
Weird
don't know.
representation. They'll
Like
have like
I,
they'll have the gay. They'll have a character that's part of the LGBTQ plus community and stuff like that.
right.
Stuff that Hallmark wouldn't have. Hallmark movies are white as snow. Like
But even like this movie deals with being gay, like it's a predatory sort of disease. Like the dude that follows her around her entourage, like gives her fiance the gay, and it's just
oh, the
like
concierge. He's
yeah,
the
yeah, like
concierge.
I'm like I don't think that's how it works. Like
It's not how none of this works, but it just works for this.
So this like I don't even have issues with this movie. It just wasn't like I didn't realize this was the kind of movie it was. I saw
I
the
feel like if you
poster,
would have known going in what type
maybe
of Christmas
I would have
movie it was
like
going to
been like,
be,
oh, that's kind of cute. Like
you would have been like, oh, like I knew. Like when you said, I was like, I know what's going to be. You're just going to have a big name star.
right,
Usually it's Christina Miliano who's in these Netflix Christmas movies.
right,
She's like in 5, 6 different Netflix Christmas movies with different
right,
titles, and she essentially plays the same character in all of them.
right. Or Candace Cameron, who's gonna have her own thing now. But like, yeah, it's like always the same. Vanessa Hudgens does these from time to
Vanessa
time.
Hudgens, yeah. It's
Um,
like so now they wrote Lindsay Lohan into it.
I had no idea. I'm gonna take Connor's comment real quick, and then we'll start wrapping up. Lindsay's redemption was amazing. She tried to undo a lot of that work. A lot of that work she got during her drug days. She looks great and acts well. Might have to see this one. Hey, check it out for Lindsay, man. I mean, she's still again
Yeah,
very
just temper
charismatic.
your expectations. Like set your bar low. And know it's a Netflix Christmas romantic comedy, and you'll have fun with it.
I
You
think,
know,
yeah, I think I again like my criticisms are I can't even like with respect say my criticisms because I realize again throughout the movie because Gabe watched this before me and then I watched it. I realized what kind of movie it was and I was like, oh, I said okay, so this makes sense, and then still wasn't good. I still question like why is there random drone shots of these people in a hot tub? Still the biggest mystery of the movie. So weird. But other than that, I hope Lindsay Lohan gets other work from this because I
so
think
do I.
she's still great.
She's still good. And like I said, it's you don't want to pigeonhole people, but unfortunately they do. So like she still has a somewhat semblance of Freaky Friday and The Parent Trap and
But
all those
that works
movies she
for
did.
her. That there is
That
a warmth and a sense of humor to her. She's not afraid to be goofy and do screwball sort of things and slapstick humor.
familiarity, there's so much
Yeah, you
familiarity with her.
Yeah, it's like whenever I see Drew Barrymore and I love Drew Barrymore. These are people that you find very warm and you like them in these kind of roles and that's I don't know, it
They're
works.
they're like they have these roles where it's like macaroni and cheese and mashed potatoes, right? It's like comfort food. And when you see Drew Barrymore, Lindsay Lohan, it's like their movies are like comfort movies. Like for
Exactly.
me, Never Been Kissed with Drew Barrymore.
I was about to say Never Been Kissed. Great, great, fun romantic comedy. And
Right.
she's awesome. And like that's the kind of I think that's what they were projecting Lindsay Lohan to be. Obviously, she never got to do that, but I think now is her chance. And I think this is a good stepping stone. I think either way she's going to get work out of this that other
Yeah.
people are going to take notice with. So I'm with you on that. Any other movies that you want to mention before we sign out of here?
No,
Yeah,
no,
you
no.
didn't
That's
let me.
only
You couldn't let me leave without it.
no, no. That's the only one. Just because we both watched it, and maybe I will add a new segment to the end of the show that a movie we both watched recently, and we'll just add it in as a little quick, review for it.
No, I'm with you. Oh, also, two movies. One of them I didn't even get to review. The other one I put like a 60-second. Actually, no, I put a full review. Decision to Leave and Banshees of Inisherin, both amazing movies and coming to streaming relatively soon. So, if you're interested in a crime film where a detective is down bad because he's in love with a suspect, Decision to Leave. If you want to see a really funny dark comedy, Banshees of Inisherin is really really cool. So check those out, guys. Gabe, anything else you want to add before we close out?
No, just you guys. I don't know what our recording schedule will be next week because of the holiday. So if we don't see you on Thursday, you guys enjoy a great Thanksgiving and send me a plate of whatever you guys are having.
Yeah. Same here. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, and thank you all for checking in tonight. I know we had not that bad. We had good real Jay. We had Cody. So I appreciate you guys checking in and just watching us talk movies. So this
Yes.
was a lot of fun. Have a great Thanksgiving, guys, and we will see you next time.